Okay, hey Instagram, welcome. Okay, so I am Brianca, the Inner Healing Life Coach. And so what I do, I help men and women heal from mother and father wounds. It is my purpose to help you discover your identity as well as teach you how to recognize healthy love. So on tonight, we're going to be talking about how to create inner healing goals. I believe that each year, you should create inner healing goals of basically your goal on how you want to grow and mature and heal in various areas of your life. Hello, welcome. Various areas of your life. It's my personal belief that this should be a yearly goal. And I have done this, I think now for 2 or 3 years. Well, I have created inner healing goals, and I must say I have noticed a difference. It helps you keep track, helps you celebrate yourself, helps you to grow into maturity of areas that you feel like you should be in. And so we're just going to hop right into it. Be sure to share this live with someone that maybe have said, you know what, I really want to grow in this area. I really noticed that this is a pain point for me, whatever that area may be. And they're not really sure on the steps they need to take to heal that goal. So one thing about me is I'm pretty type A. And so I have this idea of point A, point B, point C. So that's how I am. And so I have quick 3 steps you can take to get started on healing, working on inner healing, right? Healing those wounds that you can start within this year. It's not too late. This is the perfect time to get started. We're still in the first month of the year. So, like I said, it's 3 steps. Once again, inner healing, working on healing yourself, working on development, maturity, all these great things. 3 simple steps. And that is to pray, define, and set. 3 different steps to work on your inner healing goals is to pray, define, and set. And we're going to break down each one very quickly. So number 1, you want to pray. So you want to pray to God and you want to ask God, okay, Lord, what areas of healing do I need to grow in? What areas, hey Kenya, what areas of healing do I need to grow in? Do I need to mature in? What areas, God, do you believe that, hey, you're saying to me, God, all right, daughter, all right, son, you've been in this place long enough. I need you to mature past this. What areas do I need to go? So you want to go to God and you want to pray to him. And of course we know, I won't say of course, I want to let you know that prayer is a conversation with God, right? And so you speak and he responds back to you. He speaks and you respond back to him, right? So it's a 2-way conversation. So you want to ask God, what areas do I need to grow in? And he will reveal. Scripture talks about in Jeremiah 33:3, it says, call unto me and I will answer you and I will show and tell you great and mighty things in which you do not know. Right? In which you do not know. Daniel 2:22 talks about, and it says, but it's he, talking about God, that knows the hidden and profound things. He knows what is in darkness, yet light dwells in him. What does all that mean? Is that if you have a question, right, and God wants to give you that answer and it's time to reveal that answer, God will do just that. So if you're asking God, okay, Lord, this is my year to heal. This is my year to grow. I'm tired of still not being able to be healed from the molestation. I'm tired of not being able to be healed from the divorce. I'm tired of not being able to be healed from the rejection. Reveal to me specifically the areas that I need to grow in, and God will do that, just that. But the first thing you got to do is just go to him. Ask the Lord to search you and tell you what areas. And listen, let's not limit God in any capacity. There may be, God may say, okay, I'm going to answer you, but I'm not going to answer you in prayer. I'm going to answer you in a dream. God may say, I'm going to answer you, but it's not going to be in prayer. I may answer you in a movie, right? I'm going to answer you in various ways. One way for me that when I ask God about revealing to me what areas I need to grow in, he just began to flash various events in my life before me. So when you're trying to heal, when you're working on starting your inner healing journey and you're working on this path of various areas that you want to heal, it is critical for you to be a retrospective individual. What does that mean? It is important for you to be able to look at the span of your life, be truthful with yourself, and realize areas where you have been hurt, areas where you're still bitter, areas where you're still frustrated, areas where you were wrong, areas where you were done wrong, and you're going to have to be real with yourself, right? So when God speaks to you and he tells you the truth, you can't be like, oh, no, I know that area is not true, right? Even if it's a thought, even if it's a random thought and you're like, God, why did that come to my mind? Write that down. I know for me, when I wrote my book, Holy, I wrote it in October 2020. And God had revealed to me things that I had completely forgot about in my life. And there was an incident that happened to me in my life, and it happened one time. And I thought, oh, well, this just happened one time. I'm healed from that. It wasn't a big deal. Other people have gone through worse things, so it's not that big of a deal. And what God told me is just because it happened one time doesn't mean it wasn't impactful. Okay, so anytime that God brings something up in front of you and he's like, I need you to heal that rejection. He brings that incident where that friend walked away from you. He brings that incident where that relationship tore you apart. Begin to write that down, because that's God's way of saying, I want to heal that area right there. All right. So once again, we're going to break down the 3 steps of how to create inner healing goals. First, you got to pray to God. Lord, reveal to me what areas I need to grow in. Reveal to me what areas I need to be matured in, right? And so when you do this, you want to set the atmosphere. You may want to put on some instrumental worship music. You want to go before God. A lot of times when I go before God and let's say I want to get a prophetic word for God, I say, speak, O Lord, thy servant is listening. And it is my way to posture to heaven, to let heaven know, listen, I'm all ears, I'm all eyes, I'm all senses, I'm all of that. I'm ready to listen. And so when you go before God, ask Lord and say, speak, O Lord, thy servant is listening. Speak, O Lord, put in your name, Brianca is listening, okay? Number 2, once God has revealed these various things, and be patient with God. He may not reveal everything at once, right? It may happen over a course of days, or he may flood you with a whole bunch of stuff. Now keep in mind that when God begins to flood you, it's not like, oh my gosh, Lord, I got to deal with all of this. God's just letting you know, hey, this is priority for me, and I'm so glad you came to say that you need healing in this area, because I've been waiting to get you right in this area, okay? So don't be overwhelmed or get fatigued in the fact that God has just overwhelmed you, or feel like it has overwhelmed you with so much things that you need to be healed from. A lot of times what God is revealing is that everything connects. So here we go. Okay, so I had a dream one time, and in the dream, there was like bugs in the dream. And then anytime you have a dream, I don't know why I'm on this dream tangent. Anytime you have dreams and you see bugs in it, typically that represents an unclean thing. And so in the dream, these bugs were connected. And in the dream, they were in my room. And so room represents heart, okay? And so these things were connected. When I woke up, I was able to interpret that dream. And what God was saying is there was some wounds in my heart that were connected to each other. And so what I talked about on last week is that unforgiveness is like the gateway wound. And so there's unforgiveness, which can be connected to rejection, which can be connected to abandonment, which can be connected to being judgmental, which can be connected to being critical. So these wounds oftentimes are connected to each other. And so when God begins to flood you, what he's really saying is, let's get to the root of this thing, because there's so many pieces that have connected to it. Alrighty. Number 2, after God reveals those various different areas of inner healing and various wounds that you need to be healed in, you then want to define it, right? You want to define it and define the goal. All right, so God revealed to you that you struggle with rejection. Begin to define that goal. God reveals to you that you struggle with father wounds or mother wounds. You want to expound upon that. So don't just leave it there okay, I struggle with father wounds, or okay, I struggle with mother wounds. No, you want to expound upon that, because your area of struggling with mother wounds could be rejection, neglect, abandonment, being critical, and being super, like, not able to regulate your self-control, right? Those could be those 5 different things. You want to expound upon each one to get down to, okay, it's not just mother wounds, but my mother wounds specifically are blase, blase, blase. Okay, I hope that makes sense. You just want to, when God reveals those areas, you want to expound upon it. Another way to expound upon those wounds, if God says that you struggle with isolating yourself so much. When you are hurt, you isolate yourself. When you are mad, you isolate yourself. Begin to expound upon that by going at the root and ask God, okay, where did this start? Where did this start? And it could be that you begin to isolate yourself when people were teasing you as a young child. And so that was your defense mechanism. In order for me to protect myself and protect my feelings, I must isolate myself. So this is how you define this, right? This is how you define these wounds. This is how you begin to expound on it. You begin to dig and go to the root of it. Alrighty. Also in defining, you want to ask yourself, what happens once I am healed? You want to ask yourself, what happens once I am healed from this thing? Right? How does it look? How does someone that has been healed from their pain point of molestation look? How does someone who's been healed from rejection look? How does someone who has been healed from a toxic divorce or toxic relationship, how do they look? How does this healed person look? How do they respond? Come on, somebody. So one thing that I'll share on my story on tomorrow is that when you have been wounded, it affects how you give love and how you receive love. It also affects how you hear. So if you are someone that struggles with rejection, it's going to be really hard for you to accept criticism, because you're going to always hear it as being rejected. You're always going to assume that when someone criticizes you, you're always going to assume that they're rejecting you, right? And so these wounds affect how you hear as well. They affect how you see things. It can literally, a wound changes everything. Going on to another tangent. It's also when we are hurt, as far as a trauma response, our whole brain begins to change, right? There's a whole trigger. So when you were wounded in whatever area you were wounded in, your brain began to reprogram itself and created a trigger to let you know, if someone does this, that's a trigger, don't stay too close. If someone resembles the mother that neglected you, that's a trigger, don't get too close. So your brain begins to rewire itself. And as a result, by default, it begins to change how you see. It begins to change how you hear. It begins to change how you speak, right? And what you receive. So, said all that to say, defining your wounds is essential, right? There's a layer upon a layer upon a layer, and your goal is to get to the root of where did this start from, right? So if God says your wound is self-sabotage, cool. Where did this start at? Why did I start to self-sabotage myself? Is it because in my home, I heard my father self-sabotaging himself, saying that he was never good enough and that he could never arise from the pinnacle that he thought he had made, right? Is it because I heard my siblings? Right? I don't have siblings, but what I've learned is that you can have sibling wounds, okay? And so is it because I heard my older sibling begin to self-sabotage their self, and so I begin to self-sabotage myself because I just thought that's the way you talk down on yourself, right? So you want to get to the root. And finally, number 3, you want to set a timeline, a timeline that is easy to do, right? A timeline that's not putting too much pressure on you, but something that you can actually finish, right? So that timeline may be, you know what? I want to heal from self-sabotaging thoughts, and my timeline may be 3 months. If it's a deep root, I want to heal from jealousy, you may need to say, I want to do this in a 9-month period, in a 12-month period. give yourself timelines and goals of, I should be at a level of, when I see somebody has just got a promotion on their job, there should be a gesture in my heart that is not, ooh, I'm mad at them, right? Or I'm jealous of them. The gesture should be celebration, right? So you want to give yourself a timeline of, okay, 3 months, I should be growing in this area. 9 months, I should grow in this area. And 12 months, I should grow in this area. When I began to start on the process of healing from my father wounds, I literally did a 12-month period because I realized that my father wounds were pretty deep, right? And so, I had to I had to literally write down, pray about this, define it, and write down, okay, by this, I would literally have, okay, month 1 and 2, this is what I'm going to do. Month 3 and 4, this is what I'm going to do. And I literally had a timeline for it. Okay. So those are the 3 ways of how you create inner healing goals. Once again, like I said in the beginning, I believe that everyone, male, female, each year you should create inner healing goals. Now, don't overload yourself, right? One thing about God, if he shares all those things, once again, it's because they're connected and not necessarily is he saying, I want you to do everything at once. More than likely, what I'm going to suggest for you, as you create this, don't do no more than 3, right? I really recommend 2, but no more than 3 are you focusing on healing from these areas. Okay? So you want to pray about it. You want to define, right? Define these goals, expound upon these goals, and you want to set a timeline that is easy to reach. Now, I'm going to say this because one of my things is being a perfectionist. And so oftentimes, if that's your struggle, perfectionist, you don't need to have this high goal of, I'm going to be healed from this thing in 2 months. No, get a realistic goal for yourself, right? You know how your schedule is. You know how busy you are. You know these various things. So you want to make sure that this timeline is something that you can see. And as you're doing this, celebrate yourself. I don't care if, let's say your thing is jealousy, and that one day someone posted and they got a new car, they got a raise or whatever, and they posted about it, and you did not get jealous about it when you normally would. Celebrate yourself, right? And it doesn't matter even on the next day you get back jealous. Listen, we have to give ourselves grace and we have to give ourselves mercy. Okay, each and every morning. Why? Because that's what God does for us. So we're going to do the same thing for ourselves. Okay, so you want to celebrate every small step that you make. Remember, the goal is progression and not perfection. All right, the goal is progression and not perfection. So that's what I have. If you guys have any questions, it's my first time asking, but if you have any questions, you can drop it down and I'll see if I can answer any questions. But once again, create these inner healing goals. 3 easy steps. Pray about it, define it, and set it. I also want to let you all know that sign up for subscribe to my emailing list. There are things that I share in my email list, right? Exclusive offers, sales, various things like that everyone won't get on a live or anything like this, okay? So you want to make sure that you subscribe. How do you subscribe? Simply go to my website, www.briancahardy.com. The first thing that's going to pop up is said, join the fun, all right? And then you can just type in your email and just like that, you're subscribed. I send out emails weekly on Tuesday. So hurry up and subscribe so that you can get Tuesday's email. Okay? Hurry up and subscribe and love it. Okay, I see a comment that says love it. I'm so glad you love it and this was helpful. I hope that it made sense. Also, I want to make sure if you're not following me, follow me on my business pages. So on Facebook, you probably got here because of me sharing it to my personal page. Go and follow Brianca Hardy page, right? Just hit the follow, hit the like. Instagram, if someone shared this to you, make sure you follow Brianca Hardy because my stories, y'all, I'm so excited for my stories. Tomorrow is going to be awesome. You all have really enjoyed the series of If Your Parents Were. So tomorrow we're going to a next level. And remember, that's only in my story. So make sure that you are locked into that. So That's it. I don't see any questions. I hope that you all, for this new year, have an amazing new year, creating some goals that you can heal from your wounds. Listen, it is so critical to heal from mother and father wounds. It is so critical to heal from your soul wounds because they shape so much. They shape and can mold so many things. So it's so important to heal from these wounds. Men, women, all of us have areas that we need to heal, especially if we haven't done the work at all and we're still dealing with childhood wounds, right? An example, you may assume that you're the loud person and you're the person that is always got to speak their mind, but maybe that came out of a wound because you felt like no one was speaking and supporting you. No one stood up for you. And so you began to create a wound and a wall to say, well, I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to be my own defender, right? When Christ is our defender, right? We don't have to be in this place. That place has already been taken by Christ. So it is critical to heal from these mother and father wounds. It is essential to heal from these soul wounds. It is essential that you get to the root of these things, right? Because if not, guess what? These things begin to pass down from generation to generation to generation. These things begin to pass down from generation to generation to generation. And the gag is they don't have to be. They don't have to be passed down if you begin to do the work. If you begin to do the work in yourself and say, you know what? I notice that I do struggle with rejection a lot. I notice that I am very critical of myself and others. I know that I can have a lot of pride. I need to work on these things, all right, so that my kids won't have to do with that. Alrighty, so that is it. Thank you again. Once again, for those that do not know me, I'm Brianca Hardy, the Inner Healing Life Coach. It is my purpose to help men and women heal from mother and father wounds. I help you all to discover and uncover your identity, as well as teach you how to recognize healthy love. And so if this was really, really awesome and this almost pushes you to a place of, I got to hear more from this young lady, listen, you can go to my website, www.briancahardy.com, and begin to book a free breakthrough session where we begin to talk about maybe some wounds, some mother and father wounds that you're like, okay, I need help defining them, right? I took the steps, I did the steps of praying, but I need help defining. Now that God has revealed that I deal with all these wounds, I need help defining these things. Coach Brianca, can you help me? I certainly can. So begin to go to my website and go and book a free 20-minute session, and we can begin to talk about how you can define these wounds. All right, that's it. Thank you guys for checking back in with me on Mondays. Be sure to come back next Monday at the same time because we're going to have some more goodies about inner healing. If you have any questions, just DM me and maybe I will answer one of those questions in my stories. Okay? All right. Happy Monday. Enjoy the rest of your night.